A soul from Earth, two memories about Earth. On this ancient continent, butterfly wings were stirred up, causing many changes to occur. Nightmare, Shura, Fury, Gudiao, Leech. The strength of evil soul masters has once again grown, and what should the fate of the mainland be? Who can ultimately stop all of this and save the future of this continent? This book is free, just watch and play. If poisoned, please hold your hand high and discard the book. I am a beginner. Keywords of the novel. Lingyu Douluo from the Peerless Tang clan with no pop-ups. Complete download of Lingyu Douluo from the Peerless Tang clan TXT, latest chapter reading of Lingyu Douluo from the Peerless Tang clan. Chapter 1. Martial Soul Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Martial Soul Awakening Douluo Continent. A small village in the remote northwest of the Star Luo Empire. At noon, the sun is bright and the weather is clear. A little girl of 5 or 6 years old sat on the grass with her back against a big tree, dressed in simple clothes. Her long blue hair hung down her waist, and her big eyes of the same color looked bright and lively at the green farmland in the distance. However, her beautiful little face showed an expression that was not suitable for her age. Her name is Mu Qianxue, and she is a traveler. Before Mu Qianxue traveled, her parents were still alive. Although the family was not as wealthy, they were not poor and lived a relatively warm life. I am still a young man who has just entered society, but unfortunately, I drank too much during a company dinner and didn't know anything when I lay on the table. I have been in this world for 6 years and have become a girl. After the initial surprise and fear, she has fully accepted reality. At first, Mu Qianxue thought it was just an ordinary ancient world, but since he saw someone casually transform into a hoe and work on the ground, he was completely confused. Later, through conversations with neighbors, it was learned that this world was called Douluo Continent. It is the world in a novel written by San Shao, and it has been 10,000 years since the downfall of Tang Sanqing's divine martial soul hall. I just don't know if Hui Yuhao's plot has started. Mu Qianxue's parents in this lifetime are very eager to become soul masters. When she was 3 years old, she finally cultivated her soul power to level 10 and went out together to hunt soul beasts. They have not returned until now, probably because it has cooled down. Only 3-year-old Mu Qianxue survived barely with the help of the villagers. So, it is difficult for ordinary people to become a soul master. Without a support, hunting soul beasts themselves is almost a near death. Light snow. When Mu Qianxue was staring at the farmland in a daze, an old voice in the distance woke her up. Why are you still sitting here? Today is the day when the martial soul awakens. Hurry up and go to the temple. Don't let the soul master of Yunluo city wait in a hurry. Ah. It's the village chief's grandfather. I know now, I'll go right away. Upon hearing the shouting, Mu Qianxue quickly stood up and responded while running towards the village chief. I'm about to awaken my martial soul today. How could I forget such a big thing? However, what kind of martial soul would I be? Mu Qianxue thought as she ran. Slow down, you're in a hurry, don't fall. Hee hee. The village chief watched as Mu Qianxue ran towards him, panting slightly, and said with a smile. It's okay, Grandpa Village Chief. Let's go quickly. I really want to know what my martial soul is. Mu Qianxue excitedly replied to the village chief. Mu Qianxue has great respect for this village chief, not only because he is an elderly person, but also because he often takes care of himself when Mu Qianxue's parents are away, brings some food for himself, and often brings some meat to cook for her, which makes Mu Qianxue very grateful. Okay, hee hee, let's go over now. Xiaoxue needs to work hard and become a soul master. The village chief extended a hand full of wrinkles, slightly yellow nails, and covered in old age spots, rubbed Mu Qianxue's head, and said kindly. This child has always had an indifferent expression, never playing with other children, and always living alone. At such a young age, what should we do when we grow up? Alas, this child has suffered so much. These young couple are really willing to leave their child alone in order to become a soul master. Thinking of this, the old village chief couldn't help but sigh. Well, of course, I will definitely become a soul master. Hee, good, Xiao Xue will definitely become an amazing soul master in the future. The village chief chuckled and said. When Mu Qianxue arrived at the ancestral hall with the village chief, it was already crowded with people. Today is the day of the awakening of the martial soul, so most people have put down their tasks and come to accompany their children in the martial soul awakening ceremony. Hey, I heard it's the soul master from Yunluo city who came to awaken in our Yunyang village. Yeah. I don't know what kind of person the soul master would be. The villagers were clamoring and blocking the entrance of the ancestral hall. I don't know if my child has a chance to become a soul master. Ah, it's difficult. Only the inheritors of various major sects are the easiest to become soul masters. It's rare for us ordinary people to have one in 100 years. Not to mention 100 years ago, our Yunyang village should have a history of 300 years since its establishment, but we have never heard of a soul master appearing. Hey, a few years ago that guy named Mu Yunfeng almost became a soul master, what a pity. The villagers were chatting with each other, making the already noisy ancestral hall even more noisy. Cough, okay, everyone quiet down for a moment. The old village chief arrived at the ancestral hall and cleared his throat, saying. The villagers immediately quieted down upon hearing this. As the head of the village, the old village head still had a lot of say. Everyone, please let the children in for the awakening ceremony. Oh. The villagers immediately made way for a road and allowed more than 10 children to enter. In the dilapidated ancestral hall, in addition to a dozen or so children standing side by side, there was also a young man standing at the forefront, who appeared to be in his 20s or 60s and had an average appearance. Wearing a white outfit with a black cloak on the back, it looks very imposing. Respected Soul Master, the children are all here and can proceed with the awakening ceremony. The old village chief respectfully saluted the young man. Well, I don't have much time, let's start now, the young man responded lightly, with a hint of arrogance in his voice. My name is Lu Ming, level 44 War Soul Sect. Now, I will awaken your martial souls one by one. Remember, no matter what happens, don't be afraid. As he spoke, Lu Ming opened his package on a nearby table and took out 6 black stones and a light blue crystal ball from it. There is a feeling of Su Yuntao, his martial soul may not also be a wolf. Mu Qianxue thought with a wicked interest in her heart. Lu Ming placed 6 stones on the ground in a hexagonal shape and gestured for the first child on the left to stand in the middle, then, blood tiger, attached body. The sudden sound frightened the children and made them tremble. Streets of blood-colored light appeared around his body and quickly spread throughout his body. The originally black hair instantly turned blood red, and a strand of white hair appeared at the bangs. The same colored hair also appeared on his exposed hands, and his body had swollen much more than before. His eyes had turned blood red, and 4 soul rings, 1 white, 2 yellow, and 1 purple, shone all over his body. The old village chief is not a big deal, after all, he sees soul masters who come to awaken the children every year, and has never seen any kind of scene before. But the children are different. Hey, as for what? A group of little brats, their noses are all crying in their mouths. Mu Qianxue looked at the crying little brats next to her with great disdain and thought to herself. Seeing Mu Qianxue's appearance, Lu Ming was somewhat surprised and didn't expect to scare the child. Although I haven't released my soul power, the aura of my martial soul is not something that an ordinary child can bear. Mu Qianxue's performance couldn't help but catch Lu Minggao's eye. But what Lu Ming didn't know was that since Mu Qianxue found out this was the Douluo continent, she knew that she would eventually deal with soul masters and be prepared to face those strange martial souls. She has been exercising her body all along. She remembers a theoretically invincible master who said that soul masters should not only focus on cultivating soul power, but also exercise their bodies. Only with a strong body can they better cultivate soul power. Alright, child, don't cry. I said don't be afraid. This is my martial soul, blood tiger. If any of you could become a soul master, you would also use the same ability. Lu Ming comforted the child in front of him and explained. After all, the boy finally stopped crying, but tears still swirled in his bright red eyes, as if he could cry again at any time. It's starting, stand still, this is awakening the martial soul. It's okay. Lu Ming saw the little boy stop crying and waved his hand, injecting a soul power into the formation. Then, 6 small stones began to shine and float around the little boy. Relax your body, feel with your heart, and guide your martial soul out. In no time, the boy felt as if something was about to come out of his hand. He instinctively extended his right hand, and suddenly, a wooden stick floated on his hand. Is this my martial soul? The boy's emotions became somewhat excited as he looked at the wooden stick in front of him. I have a martial soul now, I am a soul master, that's great. The boy danced happily. Write blindly, please take care of it. Men wear women, the author has a twisted heart. Oh please kill me. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Ice Crystal Phoenix. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Ice Crystal Phoenix. Watching the little boy dance and dance, Mu Qianxue wanted to laugh a bit, but she still held back. What are you happy about? Everyone has a martial soul. Next, I will test your soul power. Only those who possess soul power are eligible to become soul masters. At this moment, Lu Ming's words were poured on the boy's head like a bowl of cold water. Ah! This way, the boy said with some embarrassment. Lu Ming handed him the crystal ball and said to him, put your hands on it. The boy obediently placed his hand on it, but nothing happened. Without soul power, you cannot become a soul master. Go aside first, Lu Ming said coldly as he withdrew the crystal ball. The boy immediately retreated in disappointment. Next, Lu Ming awakened more than a dozen children, whose martial souls were undoubtedly agricultural tools without any soul power. On the way, a beast martial soul appeared, but with only one level of innate soul power and no talent, background, and perseverance, there would be no future achievements. This is reality. The martial souls inherited from the ancestors who did not have soul power are basically without soul power. There are not many people with mutated martial souls, and it is really difficult for ordinary people to become a soul master. It's your turn. Lu Ming looked at Mu Qianxue, who was the last one, hoping to have a better martial soul. Good. Mu Qianxue responded and walked to the middle of the formation, taking a deep breath to calm herself down. To be honest, she was very anxious in her heart, afraid that she, like others, would awaken a martial soul that could not be cultivated. But at least my parents can cultivate to level 10, so there won't be any useless martial souls. At this moment, the formation under Mu Qianxue's feet lit up, and a golden light surrounded her, making her feel warm all over. In the next moment, the light flooded into my body, feeling that something was being pulled out of my body. Lu Ming looked at the golden light shining brightly on Mu Qianxue's body, and couldn't help but show a joyful expression on his face. The awakening ceremony of the martial soul, the more dazzling the light on the body, the stronger the awakened martial soul becomes. Judging from Mu Qianxue's appearance, she should have awakened a very good martial soul. In the next moment, the golden light was instantly replaced by ice blue. Then, a loud phoenix roar sounded, and the temperature in the ancestral hall suddenly dropped. The children around them curled up in the corner, their frozen faces turning red, and even Lu Ming in front couldn't help but shiver. Behind Mu Qianxue, the ice blue light gradually formed, and an ice blue phoenix appeared out of thin air, looking extremely clear, like a solid entity. Ice blue eyes, same colored feathers, and slender tail feathers all showcase its beauty and strength. This is my martial soul. Mu Qianxue looked at the phoenix behind her and instinctively stroked the ice blue body of the ice phoenix, as if she couldn't feel the temperature around her. Ha ha ha, alright. I never thought there could be such a genius in this small Yunyang village. Ice Phoenix, one of the most powerful top-notch beast martial souls on the continent. Alright. Lu Ming laughed excitedly, as if the awakened person was himself. Come on, quickly test your soul power, Lu Ming said impatiently. He was eager to know whether a child with such a powerful martial soul would have the unparalleled innate full soul power. Mu Qianxue placed her hand on the crystal ball, her eyes fixed on it with excitement, and Lu Ming did the same. Suddenly, the crystal ball shone brightly. Level 9. Not bad haha, just one level away from the innate full soul power. I didn't waste a trip this year. Haha. Lu Ming smiled happily. What's your name? My name is Mu Qianxue. Lu Ming took a deep breath and exhaled, trying to calm the excitement in his heart. Let me formally introduce myself. My name is Lu Ming and I come from Yunluo City. I am one of the soul masters responsible for the annual martial soul awakening ceremony, and I also teach at the Yunluo Advanced Soul Mentor Academy in the Yunluo Empire. After speaking, Lu Ming's expression suddenly became serious. Mu Qianxue, would you like to come to Yunluo Academy to learn the cultivation methods of soul masters and the knowledge of soul guides? Don't worry. Tuition fees are all free, and the college will provide you with subsidies. You can rest assured to study at the college. It seems that considering the difficulties of living in Yunyang village, Lu Ming quickly added another sentence. After all, both this talent and martial soul are top-notch entities. It seems that there has never been a student with such talent in the history of Yunluo Academy. Even Shrek Academy, which has been passed down for thousands of years, may be tempted. What is this tuition fee and subsidy? Lord Lu Ming, can I consider it for a moment? Mu Qianxue said calmly. What else are you considering? You can say it, if the conditions are not excessive, I have agreed on behalf of the college. Lu Ming's expression became somewhat anxious. After so many years of traveling to so many villages, he finally encountered a top-level martial soul. How could he easily let it go? Bringing her into the college not only benefits the college, but also brings many benefits to oneself. Mu Qianxue shook her head and said, Sorry, Mr. Lu Ming, I have my own ideas. Alright, please tell me the address of the college, and I will consider it for the whole night. If it's decided, I will go to the college to report tomorrow. Okay. Lu Ming let out a long sigh and said. Alright, I'll go to another village for awakening first and come back early tomorrow morning. If you think it over, I'll take you directly to the college. If you don't want to go, I won't force you. I will consider it carefully, Lord Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't say much anymore, turned around, packed his package, and walked outside. At night, the old village chief came to a thatched cottage, and from the window, he could see the faint candlelight inside, indicating that Mu Qianxue had not rested yet. Light Snow, the old village chief, knocked lightly on the door and called out softly to the inside of the house. The dilapidated wooden door opened, making a toothache sound that sounded very uncomfortable. Grandpa Village Chief, it's you. It's so late. Is there anything you want to do with me? Mu Qianxue looked at the old man appearing in front of her house and asked with a puzzled expression. I just came to see you. After all, you won't be long before you become the sole master of our Yunyang village. The old village chief smiled kindly at Mu Qianxue. Grandpa, come in and sit down. It's windy outside, don't catch a cold, Mu Qianxue said with a smile, taking the old village chief's hand and entering the house. She found a small wooden block and asked him to sit down. Xiao Xue, have you had dinner yet? I have eaten it, thank you for Grandpa's concern. Mu Qianxue smiled. As a traveler with the soul of an adult, she can certainly take good care of herself. Before her journey, she was also a wild child who grew up in the countryside. She was particularly skilled at catching some wild game, and with the help of the villagers, she was able to live a decent life alone. Okay. If there's nothing to eat at home, go to Grandpa's house to eat. Grandpa will make you delicious food, said the old village chief kindly. Thank you, Grandpa. Mu Qianxue said in a choked voice. Child, it's okay, you'll soon become a soul master. What do you want to look like crying and crying? The old village chief couldn't help but rub her head and comfort her as she looked at her crying. By the way, Xiaoxue, how have you been considering going to the college to study? Grandpa village chief, do you know Shrek College? Upon hearing the old village chief's words, Mu Qianxue asked in response. Shrek College, it's a college that has been passed down for thousands of years, but we poor families can't afford it. Just one academic year's tuition costs 10 gold soul coins, not including food expenses. Xiaoxue, you don't want to go to Shrek College, do you? We can't afford it there, the old village chief chuckled bitterly. Grandpa, I'm just asking. You don't have to worry about me anymore. I've made up my mind and will follow Lord Lu Ming to Yunluo Academy tomorrow to report. When I become a first-ring soul master, I will come back to see you. Mu Qianxue only realized her current situation when she saw the village chief's appearance, and then dispelled the idea of going to Shrek. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Yunluo College. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Yunluo College. The next morning, just as it was dawn, the door of Mu Qianxue's house was knocked on, and the old village chief had already arrived. Xiaoxue, have you woken up yet? Mr. Lu Ming has arrived, said the old village chief to the room. As soon as the words fell, a bitter opening sound sounded as Mu Qianxue walked out with a small bundle on her back. Grandpa village chief, I have packed up and can set off now. Walking to the entrance of the village, Lu Ming, dressed in white, was anxiously waiting at the head of the village. It wasn't until the figure of Mu Qianxue appeared that he breathed a sigh of relief. All right, little one, we've almost packed everything. We should go now. Mu Qianxue responded. I will follow Lu Ming and leave. Lord Lu Ming, please wait a moment. At this moment, the voice of the old village chief sounded, causing Lu Ming's expression to be somewhat displeased, but he still stopped. The old village chief walked forward and reached out his withered and yellowed left hand to take out a few coins in his arms. He took Mu Qianxue's hand and placed it in her palm. These are 7 silver soul coins. Grandpa can only come up with so much. When you arrive at the academy, you will make many friends and learn a lot of knowledge. But you must listen to your teacher, be good to yourself, and don't be reluctant to spend money. When you become a soul master, you can also receive a monthly subsidy of gold soul coins. At that time, you can also buy something you like. Grandpa village chief. Mu Qianxue looked at the few silver coins in her hand, feeling warm in her heart. Yunyang village is a very poor village, and the old village head is not wealthy either. You should know that 1 gold soul coin is enough for an ordinary household to live for a year, and 1 gold soul coin is equivalent to 10 silver soul coins and 100 copper soul coins. 7 silver soul coins are a considerable amount, indicating that the old village chief has already treated Mu Qianxue as his own granddaughter. Thank you, Grandpa. Mu Qianxue did not refuse, and the elder cannot refuse. She will not disappoint the village chief's wishes. The village chief rubbed Mu Qianxue's head again, but his hand trembled gently. Go ahead. Well, Grandpa, I will come back to see you after the semester ends. After speaking, Mu Qianxue followed Lu Ming towards the outside of the village. The old village chief stood at the entrance of the village, watching their backs gradually disappear. Walking on the road, Mu Qianxue silently followed behind Lu Ming and occasionally turned back to look in the direction of the village. What's wrong? Can't bear to part with the village. At this moment, Lu Ming's voice sounded beside him. Well, it's a bit. Lord Lu Ming, how long will we be able to get to the college? Mu Qianxue whispered. You are a sensible child. It takes about half a day's journey from here to the college, but we need to go to Yunluo city first. I have something else to do. Also, you can call me a teacher in the future. From today on, you will be a student of Yunluo College, Lu Ming said with a rare gentle smile. Your village chief grandfather is right. The outside world is very vast, and you will make many friends in the college. If you have any questions or things you don't understand, you can come to me or other teachers, and they will help you. With your talent, you can break through level 10 in a short time. After obtaining the soul ring, you can receive a monthly subsidy of gold soul coins. The Yunluo Advanced Soul Mentor Academy is located in the eastern part of Yunyang Village, within Lingyu City, directly north of Yunluo City. However, Lu Ming had to go to Yunluo City to report on yesterday's work first, so the two of them rented a carriage from a nearby small town and headed towards Yunluo City southeast of Yunyang Village. On the way, Mu Qianxue also took the opportunity to learn about the situation of the college from Lu Ming. After understanding some general rules and regulations, Mu Qianxue also looked out of the carriage with some boredom. Teacher Lu Ming, is that the imperial palace of the Star Luo Empire? Suddenly, Mu Qianxue pointed to a palace-like building in the distance and asked. Oh, that's not the palace of the Star Luo Empire. It's the Duke's mansion, the residence of Duke Dai Hao of the White Tiger. Lu Ming explained to Mu Qianxue, his eyes filled with awe. Dai Hao. Is the protagonist his father or the Duke? I don't know if the plot has started or is halfway through. Thinking of this, Mu Qianxue seemed to think of something and asked Lu Ming. Teacher, does Duke Baihu have a child named Dai Huabin? Dai Huabin, he is the youngest son of Duke Baihu, about 6 or 7 years old this year. Hey, how do you know this name? Lu Ming said strangely. I heard about it when I went to town with the village chief grandfather before. Mu Qianxue quickly disguised herself. Well, if you're tired, go to bed for a while. After I finish dealing with yesterday's matter, we'll go back to the college. Lu Ming didn't think much and then closed his eyes to rest. However, Mu Qianxue did not listen to what Lu Ming had just said, and she had been trying hard to recall the plot in her heart. In the plot of Douluo, Hui Yuhao entered Shrek College at the age of 11 or 2 and met Dai Huabin during the freshman assessment. Both of them were freshmen, indicating that they were about the same age. It seems that the plot has not started yet. For the plot, Mu Qianxue doesn't remember very clearly. After all, time has passed and she doesn't have any habit of taking notes. But she didn't care either. She remembered that several dangerous events had revolved around Shrek and the protagonist. As long as she didn't blindly participate with the protagonist, she wouldn't have to hide when fighting against the Sun and Moon Empire in the future. Thinking of this, Mu Qianxue was grateful that she did not apply to Shrek College. So she stopped thinking about the plot and found a comfortable spot to close her eyes and take a nap. Not long after, the two of them arrived at Yunluo City. After following Lu Ming to handle their affairs, they rushed to the academy without stopping until the sunset was about to set. After following Lu Ming off the carriage, Mu Qianxue finally saw this college. The gate of the college is built with huge stones, which looks very imposing. The walls on both sides are about 10 meters high. Following Lu Ming into the college, towering buildings came into view. A wide horizontal road paved with bluestone slabs interspersed between each teaching building, with green trees on both sides of the road. That's the Academic Affairs office over there, I'll take you to report, Lu Ming pointed to a building and said. With Lu Ming's leadership, Mu Qianxue's reporting and registration went very smoothly. Then, Lu Ming brought Mu Qianxue to a classroom. Appreciate the moon, come out for a while. As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, a girl aged 11 or 2 walked out of the classroom. Teacher Lu Ming, what can I do for you? The girl has long golden hair, a tall figure, and an average appearance. Under her long eyelashes, a pair of big eyes are looking at Lu Ming in confusion. This is the new student I brought to Yunyang village, named Mu Qianxue. If you take her to the dormitory, let's share the same dormitory with you and also collect bedding and daily necessities. Okay, teacher. The girl named, appreciating the moon, responded and left with Mu Qianxue. Isn't the enrollment time over? Suddenly, an old voice appeared beside me. Wow! Dean! Lu Ming was startled and patted his chest, saying, don't you always appear suddenly, okay? In the dean's office. What? Ice Phoenix Martial Soul, innate 9th level soul power. Well done, Lu Ming, well done. After hearing what Lu Ming had said, an old man with gray hair suddenly stood up from his chair and patted his hands on his desk, saying excitedly. In this way, besides studying the theory and knowledge of martial souls and soul guides with other classmates in the morning, this child won't have to attend the practical courses of soul guides and soul masters in the afternoon. I will teach them myself. In the next continent-wide Advanced Soul Master College Soul Fighting Competition, it's time for Yunluo College to stand out. Dean Lin, even if the next competition is in 6 years' time, this child is only 12 years old. As a member of the reserve team, do you want her to be a key player? Lu Ming smiled with a somewhat forced expression. That's right. It's the main force. Our college is still far behind those top colleges. Several colleges in previous competitions have students with Soul King cultivation, while Shrek College even has students with other Soul Emperor cultivation, or every year. Looking at us again, the highest cultivation hasn't even reached Soul King yet. Good seedlings have all been divided by those bandits, sigh. Lin Hai roared indignantly. So, Dean, are you confident that you can cultivate this child into a soul master within 6 years? Lu Ming's expression also became excited. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Campus Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Campus Life, that's right, the 12-year-old Soul Master. I want to create an existence at the same level as the genius at Shrek Academy. I want everyone to know that our Soul Master Academy can not only cultivate Soul Masters, but also powerful War Soul Masters. In the future, the focus of the Academy's cultivation resources will be on this child. Also, this matter will be kept secret and not let too many people know. Dean Lin said seriously. No problem, Dean. Don't worry, I guarantee that all the teachers at Yunluo College will do their best to cultivate Mu Qianxue. Lu Ming patted his chest and said. Well, it's almost time to finish school now. You just ran back all the way, go back and rest early. Dean Lin sat back in his chair, picked up the tea on the table and took a sip, saying. Okay, then I'll go back first, Dean. After speaking, Lu Ming turned around and left, closing the door to the office. Appreciating the moon, thank you so much today. You helped me move so many things. If it were me alone, I wouldn't be tired to death. Under the guidance of admiring the moon, Mu Qianxue returned to her dormitory and unloaded all her belongings. She wiped the fine sweat off her forehead and gasped slightly. You don't need to thank me, it should be. From today on, you will be my junior sister. If you have anything to do in the college in the future, just come to me, said appreciating the moon with a slight smile. The next moment, she seemed to remember something, her right hand touching the bracelet on her left wrist. A ray of light flashed away, but she had a blue booklet on her right hand. By the way, this is the cultivation method for soul power. I forgot to give it to you. Take a look, ask me if you don't understand, and strive to reach level 10 as soon as possible. Well, okay, I will work hard. Taking the booklet from the hand of appreciating the moon, Mu Qianxue carefully put it away, and then began to tidy up her daily necessities and make her bed. Junior sister, I don't know what your martial soul is yet. Can you tell me? Jingyue asked curiously as she sat on her bed. Ice Crystal Phoenix, my martial soul is Ice Crystal Phoenix, Mu Qianxue said as she packed her things. What, Phoenix? Phoenix. The moon was surprised and said. Yes. Yes, what's the problem? Mu Qianxue was also startled by her state. No, Phoenix, a very powerful martial soul, it should be very beautiful, said the admiring moon enviously. It's okay. Where's the senior sister? What is your martial soul? My martial soul, forget it, let me not tell you. Haha. Huan Yu smiled awkwardly. Isn't it something like a caterpillar? Mu Qianxue instinctively said as she looked at her embarrassed expression. How could that be? My martial soul is not that kind of thing. My martial soul is a dog, a very cute kind of dog. Right. At this moment, Mu Qianxue was suppressing her smile and looking at the excited senior in front of her. Okay, it's a wolf dog. Appreciating the moon was very uncomfortable with Mu Qianxue's gaze, so she said helplessly, if you want to laugh, just smile. Sister won't be angry. How could I laugh at my senior sister? What kind of martial soul does not exist on Douluo continent? You don't have to worry about it, senior sister. Besides, this is not a strange martial soul. Mu Qianxue comforted with a smile. Come on, it's good to have this martial soul on a boy. On a girl, imagine what it looks like after being possessed by the martial soul before speaking. Bang 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 at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Mu Qianxue walked over and opened the dormitory door, only to find a middle-aged woman standing outside. Who is Mu Qianxue? I am, teacher. Do you have anything to do? This is what the dean of the college asked me to give you. Also, tomorrow at 7 o'clock, there will be classes in Class 2, Grade 1, and the homeroom teacher will be Teacher Lu Ming. The middle-aged woman handed a black box to Mu Qianxue, gave a few words of advice, and then left. The dean would actually give you something, what is it? At this moment, Yuki leaned her head over and asked curiously. I don't know either. Just open it and you'll know, said Mu Qianxue as she opened the box in her hand. There is not much inside the box, besides 2 white school uniforms, there is also a card, 2 bottles of pills, a bracelet, and a piece of paper. This is the meal card from the cafeteria, along with pills and storage soul guides. Wow, junior sister, does the dean have any relatives with you? Even if we give you something, it's okay. We still give you pills, even soul guides. Appreciating the moon was surprised. Xianxue pill. Mu Qianxue read softly as she looked at the content on the note, and couldn't help but think that in the original work, it seemed that Hui Yuhao had also taken this pill. This pill seemed to have the effect of easy tendons and washing marrow, and its value was considerable. What? What kind of pill are you saying this is? But at this moment, the moon was surprised and her voice unconsciously increased by a few decibels. Xianxue pill. Oh my god, you must have relatives with the dean. Otherwise, why did you even give you 2 bottles of Xianxue pill worth thousands of gold? Can you eat it as candy? A bottle, written on the note, the blue porcelain bottle is Xianxue Dan, with 3 pills in 1 bottle, and the white porcelain bottle is Shenghun Dan, with only 1 pill. It also detailed the effects of the 2 pills. There's also the soul ascending pill. Oh my, I want to help you eat it, said the pitiful moon appreciation. Alright, senior sister, don't be upset. How about I treat senior sister to a big meal? That's pretty good. Let's go eat. Mu Qianxue smiled slightly and pulled the moon out of the dormitory. The next morning, Mu Qianxue got up early from the bed, picked up her school uniform, and put on a dress she had never touched before in her past life. After washing up, she was ready to go to the cafeteria for dinner. "Let's go, senior sister. Let me treat you today too," Mu Qianxue said generously. Yesterday, when Mu Qianxue went to dinner with her senior sister, she was startled by the meal card sent by the dean. The card had a total amount of 10,000 gold soul coins, but of course, she could only spend in the cafeteria. Despite this, the conditions provided by the college for Mu Qianxue are also very generous. After all, there are still those 4 priceless pills. "No need, thank you. Yesterday you had already treated your senior sister to a lot of good food. How could you treat her again? Another day, my senior sister will invite you to go outside the college to have a good meal." Huiwe smiled and said. "Okay, don't regret it, sister. I'm really good at eating," Mu Qianxue said with a smile. "No matter how much you can eat, how much more can you eat? You can't afford to eat, sister. Let's open up and eat." "Aha, then I won't be polite then." After dinner, Mu Qianxue and Miss Appreciating the Moon went to their respective classes. Entering the classroom, the students were whispering and chatting. Seeing Mu Qianxue's appearance, the classroom suddenly quieted down, and all the students were curiously looking at this beautiful little girl. Mu Qianxue felt a bit uncomfortable being stared at by so many people, but fortunately, at this moment, Lu Ming walked into the classroom. "Classmates, today we have a new classmate in our class. Welcome everyone." After speaking, Lu Ming took the lead in applauding, and the students below the podium also applauded. After a moment of applause, Lu Ming waved his hand to signal everyone to be quiet, and then said to Mu Qianxue, "Let me introduce myself." Mu Qianxue took a deep breath and adjusted her mindset. "Hello everyone, my name is Mu Qianxue, I am 6 years old. My martial soul is Ice Crystal Phoenix, with a 9th level soul power." When Mu Qianxue spoke of her soul power, almost everyone's lips twitched slightly. 9-level soul power, almost innate full soul power. Yeah, the squad leader with the highest soul power is just a 5th-level soul power, right? Lu Ming knocked on the desk and said, "Alright, everyone quiet down. In the next semester, everyone should get along well, learn from each other, and make progress together. Mu Qianxue, please sit in the empty seat on the left side of the 3rd row first. Now let's start our class." Mu Qianxue walked to her seat and sat down, with a slightly chubby boy sitting next to her. "Hello, my name is Zhang Zhe," the boy said shyly. "Mu Qianxue, please take good care of me." Mu Qianxue smiled and then turned her head to focus on the class. As is well known, martial souls can be anything, divided into 2 categories. Beast martial souls and weapon martial souls. However, there are some special martial souls that do not belong to these 2 categories. Do you know what kind of martial soul this is? The ontology martial soul. Mu Qianxue remembers very clearly that the protagonist Hui Yuhao is the ontology martial soul. Yes, that's right, it's the essence martial soul. Can you tell everyone how you know? Lu Ming was very surprised. How could the child he brought from a small place like Yunyang village know the essence martial soul? Needless to say, the author holds a piece of silk in his mouth. Epsilon system fatty water never leaves your hand, sitting at home for a whole year. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Begins cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 begins cultivation. Teacher, as you just said, a martial soul can be anything, so I was wondering if it could be a part of our body, such as our arms, legs, or eyes. Mu Qianxue said without blushing or jumping. Not bad, very good. Lu Ming looked at Mu Qianxue with admiration and continued, "It's a very bold guess, but your guess is very correct. There is indeed such a type of martial soul on the mainland, and this type of martial soul is indeed called the main body martial soul. The difference between whether this type of martial soul is strong or not depends on the importance of the location of its appearance to the body. Alright, physical martial souls are not common, just give you a brief understanding. Next, I will take you to learn about the characteristics of various martial souls and future cultivation directions. Everyone listens carefully. Although our college mainly focuses on soul mentoring, these knowledge still need to be remembered by you. Firstly, since ancient times, our soul masters have been divided into many departments based on their different martial soul abilities, including strong attack, sensitive attack, defense. Lu Ming explained the classroom content in great detail. Soon, a morning's class ended. After eating in the cafeteria, Mu Qianxue was about to return to her dormitory when Lu Ming approached her. Mu Qianxue, you don't need to attend practical training classes with everyone in the afternoon. I'll take you to find the dean, and from now on, the dean will guide you in your cultivation every afternoon. Dean Lin Hai is a soul warrior level powerhouse, Lu Ming said to Mu Qianxue. Mu Qianxue nodded and followed Lu Ming towards the dean. Dean, I have brought the child Mu Qianxue with me. Outside the dean's office, Lu Ming knocked on the door and whispered softly. Come on in. After hearing the response inside the room, Lu Ming pushed open the door and walked in with Mu Qianxue. As soon as she entered the door, Mu Qianxue noticed an elderly man with gray hair and a rosy complexion sitting behind her desk. He was probably the powerful soul fighter level figure that Lu Ming had described as Dean Lin Hai. Just as Mu Qianxue was scrutinizing the dean, Lin Hai also carefully scrutinized the little genius brought back by Lu Ming from afar. Dean, I still have classes this afternoon, so I'll go back first, Lu Ming said with respect as he looked at Dean Lin. Well, go to class. Lin Hai smiled and said. Lu Ming nodded and left the office. Little guy, I'm Lin Hai, the dean of this college. Starting today, you come here every afternoon at 2 p.m. to find me, and I will personally guide you in your cultivation. Dean, are you taking me as the closing disciple? Mu Qianxue looked straight at Lin Hai and asked. Are you willing to be my disciple who closes the door? Lin Hai asked with a smile when he heard this. If you're willing, then. Teacher, do you have a meeting gift? Mu Qianxue smiled and extended her snow-white hands, looking at him expectantly. You little girl, the things I gave you yesterday were not enough. Lin Hai suddenly said with some confusion, in the future, the resources of the entire college will be tilted towards you. From today on, you will be the key training object of the college. Thank you, teacher. Mu Qianxue extended her tone to express gratitude. But I agreed in advance that if you don't take it seriously and cultivate well, I, as a teacher, won't spare you. Lin Hai said. Alright, I won't say much more. Release your martial soul and show it to me. Mu Qianxue nodded and then released her martial soul. The icy blue light reappeared and slowly condensed behind her. Lin Hai walked forward and looked at the lifelike phoenix martial soul in front of him, feeling the cold temperature around him. At this moment, he could no longer conceal his inner joy. Not bad, worthy of being a top-level beast martial soul, it's still the ultimate attribute. Okay, put it away. Upon hearing this, Mu Qianxue put away her martial soul. Suddenly, the cold feeling gradually disappeared, and the temperature in the room gradually returned to normal. Child, did you carry the pill I gave you yesterday? On her body, said Mu Qianxue as she took out the pill from the stored soul guide. Don't move the soul ascending pill yet. Take out one of the Xianshui pills and eat it. Cross your knees on the sofa to meditate and practice. The teacher will protect you. You should be able to break through level 10 before tonight, right? Lin Hai said with satisfaction. Mu Qianxue responded with a sound, then poured out a pill from the porcelain bottle and took it. She sat cross-legged on the sofa, meditating according to the cultivation method in the booklet. In the evening, the bell rang for the end of class, and the students walked out of the classroom to eat in the cafeteria, chatting and laughing. But Mu Qianxue was awakened by a foul odor. Oh, I'm so nauseous, I forgot about this one more time. At this moment, she felt very uncomfortable and sticky on her body. Her white school uniform had also turned pitch black, and the skin that the uniform couldn't cover was covered with a layer of pitch black dirt, emitting a nauseating smell. How about it, have you broken through level 10? Lin Hai put on a mask at some point and asked urgently when Mu Qianxue woke up. Breakthrough, as long as I obtain a soul ring, I am a soul master. Haha. Mu Qianxue excitedly said, but her small face immediately became depressed. Ah. But how should I go back now? There are so many people outside. Cough, well. I also forgot that this happened, Lin Hai said awkwardly. But don't worry, the teacher will give you some equipment to cover it up. Go back to the dormitory and rest well. Don't go to the classroom tomorrow morning, come find me directly. I will take you to the Star Forest to hunt for soul rings. After a while, a tight and petite figure wrapped in black cloth appeared outside the teaching building, and flew towards the dormitory at an extremely fast speed under the disdainful gaze of the students. Who was that just now? I haven't taken a shower for a few days, it smells so bad. Several students who had just come out of the cafeteria said nauseously, pinching their noses. I don't know, nauseous, damn it, I just finished my meal. Running back to the dormitory, Mu Qianxue quickly ripped off all her clothes and ran into the bathroom. After soaking her school uniform, it took nearly an hour and a half to clean it thoroughly. Oh, what's the smell? It's really disgusting. Mu Qianxue, what are you doing in the dormitory? Appreciating the moon pinched her nose and walked into the dormitory, shouting with a disdainful expression on her face. At this moment, Mu Qianxue changed her clothes and walked out of the bathroom, looking helpless as she said, "It's nothing, I just took a Xianxue pill." Oh, no wonder. After understanding the situation, she collapsed on the bed without any image. I'm so tired. Today, the teacher gave us a physical fitness class all afternoon. We ran around the playground all afternoon. You've worked hard, will you wait and have a big meal to replenish your body? I'll go back later. As soon as I got back to the dormitory, I was disgusted by the smell you made. I didn't have any appetite at all. If I didn't vomit it out, it would be good, said Yuyue with displeased eyes. How do you feel after eating the Xianxue pill? Has your soul power broken through? Mu Qianxue felt very embarrassed about the unpleasant smell she had caused. Upon hearing her question, she immediately said, "It has already exceeded level 10, senior." 10 levels. You're only 6 years old, right? What level of innate soul power is it? Asked Tuanyu in surprise. 9 levels. You are truly a genius. Now you are equivalent to being born with full soul power. Appreciating the moon sighed with envy in her eyes. Alright, sister appreciating the moon, let's go eat. It's my treat, so let's apologize for what happened earlier, Mu Qianxue smiled. Okay, I accept the apology, but let me treat you. Sister, take you to a good meal. After dinner, the two of them returned to the dormitory to start practicing. Starry Forest. I don't know what my first soul skill will be. I don't want to practice. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Starry Forest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Starry Forest, Indiana. The early morning, while most of the teachers and students at Yunluo College were still asleep, the door of Mu Qianxue's dormitory had already been knocked on. Who is it? Yuyue got up from the bed in a daze and kicked her cute rabbit head slippers to open the door. After opening the door, standing outside was the female teacher who gave Mu Qianxue a box last time. Did Mu Qianxue wake up? The female teacher asked her. No, teacher. Is there anything you want to do with her? Appreciating the moon yawned and rubbed her slightly closed eyes, asking. The dean is looking for her and is taking her to hunt soul beasts today. You go wake her up, the dean is still waiting for her outside. Okay, teacher, please wait a moment. After finishing speaking, Yunluo turned around and walked to Mu Qianshue's bed. She reached out and shook her shoulder, saying, "Qianshue, wake up, wake up." "Oh, what are you doing? It's only a few o'clock. Don't disturb me, senior sister, let me sleep a little longer." Mu Qianshue pushed away her hand, rolled over, and said in a daze, not sure if it was a dream talk. "Get up. The dean is waiting for you downstairs, saying he wants to take you to hunt soul beasts." The moon suddenly lifted her blanket and said, "Hunting soul beasts? So early?" Upon hearing this, Mu Qianshue fell completely asleep and suddenly sat up from the bed, startling the nearby admirer of the moon. "Well, it's a sudden surprise." Appreciating the moon pushed her and scolded with a smile, "Get dressed quickly. The dean is still waiting for you outside." "Okay, right away." After speaking, she quickly got dressed and finished washing up. When Mu Qianshue tidied up and walked out of the dormitory building, she saw Lin Hai waiting outside at a glance. She quickly walked over. "Dean, why did you start so early?" Mu Qianshue stretched lazily and asked. "Go early and return early." "Alright, let's go. Take this boxed lunch and eat it on the way. We won't stop between us." Lin Hai handed her a white disposable lunch box and took her outside the college. "Our destination for this trip is the Starry Forest, just north of the academy, bordering the Heavenly Soul Empire. It is the cradle of soul beasts, the favorite place of powerful soul masters, and also the place where soul masters suffer the most casualties." "Teacher, does the Starry Forest also have soul beasts with ice attributes? I remember the book said that the place with the most ice attribute soul beasts is on the ice field in the far north, shouldn't we go there?" Mu Qianshue asked with some confusion. Lin Hai nodded and said, "You're right. The Arctic region is indeed a gathering place for ice-type soul beasts. However, the environment there is harsh and the journey is far away, making it even more dangerous than the Star Forest. So I'll take you to the Star Forest first to try your luck. There are also some ice-type soul beasts there. If we can't find suitable ones, we'll go to the Arctic region." After leaving the college, Lin Hai hired a carriage nearby, and after paying the coachman a silver coin, the two of them boarded the carriage. The carriage was bumping along in the small town outside the college. This is Mu Qianshue's second time riding in a carriage. As someone who has never left Yunyang village, she yearns for the outside world and occasionally opens the curtains to look at various architectural views outside the window. As the sun gradually rose from the east, the number of pedestrians on the street also gradually increased. For a while, the once peaceful street gradually became lively. It won't be long before we arrive at the Star Forest. For your Phoenix martial soul, the strong attack-type soul master is undoubtedly the most suitable direction for your development. So, do you want your first soul skill to be mainly focused on self-enhancement or as an attack method? Lin Hai sat aside and asked. "Teacher, I hope it's a soul skill as a means of attack," Mu Qianshue said firmly. "Oh," Lin Hai asked with an interested gaze, "what's the reason?" "Because I have never experienced combat and have no attack methods, I need this type of soul skill, not a soul skill that enhances my own strength. In the future, I can consider this type of soul skill as my second soul skill. However, as an attack method, soul skills are what I currently need." She is not a disciple of the Tang Sect and has not learned Ghost and Shadow, controlling cranes and catching dragons or anything like that. No matter how strong one's soul skills are, in situations where there is not much difference in strength, the comparison between those who know martial arts and those who do not know martial arts is two extremes. Hee, good, just have your own ideas. Lin Hai smiled happily and said, "Although Yunluo Academy is a Soul Master Academy, the teachers don't want you to become a Soul Master. Becoming a soul master will only waste your cultivation talent. In the future, you only need to learn to use soul guides, and the teachers don't force you to learn how to make them. Teacher, I understand. I will work hard to cultivate and become a powerful soul master. Mu Qianxue clenched her fist and said with a firm gaze. Well, practice well, teacher. The day you stand out in the soul fighting competition at the Advanced Soul Master Academy across the continent, Lin Hai said with a smile. Soul battle. When? Mu Qianxue asked. About 6 years from now, don't worry, the college will do its best to cultivate you. As long as you are willing to work hard, you should be able to break through to the Soul Lord level. Well, I will work hard, teacher. Mouth responding, Mu Qianxue was thinking about the plot of the soul battle in her heart. I remember Yunluo Academy was left out by Su Sancher from Shrek Academy alone. Hiss, can I hit Su Sancher? At that time, Su Sancher seemed to still have the fourth ring road, and coupled with his despicable yet invincible misbehavior, thinking of this, Mu Qianxue felt a lot of pressure on herself. The Star Forest is not far from the academy. About 2 hours later, the carriage driver informed the two of them that it would be about 30 miles ahead of them. The carriage driver was just an ordinary person and dared not take any further steps forward. The two had to get off the carriage and hike to the forest. Not long after, Mu Qianxue finally arrived in front of the important map Star Forest in the original work. The tall trees are at least over 20 meters tall, and this is just the outermost edge. As the footsteps continued to deepen, the road beneath my feet had also disappeared, surrounded by dense forests, and a hint of danger emanated from the quiet depths of the forest. Follow behind me, don't run around. Here, we may face attacks from various soul beasts at any time. Without my permission, don't attack other soul beasts easily, understand? Lin Hai said with a serious expression. Understood, teacher. Mu Qianxue followed closely behind Lin Hai and carefully observed the surroundings. Suddenly, Lin Hai's gaze turned to the left and ahead. Be careful, there are soul beasts approaching. As soon as the words fell, a rustling sound echoed from the bushes in the front left. Then, 5 wolves with blue fur emerged from inside, their brown eyes full of ferocity. He is the Green Wind Wolf, with a cultivation of about 200 years. Subsequently, a massive wave of soul power surged forward, and the 5 green wind wolves were thrown out by the massive wave of soul power before they could scream in agony. Let's go, keep moving forward. These 5 beasts should not dare to keep up anymore. Remember, in the Starry Forest, if you encounter a soul beast that is not our target, then if you can, hide and try to avoid combat. Otherwise, there is a possibility of attracting more soul beasts. Not only will it take time, but it will also be difficult to deal with, and even our lives will have to be taken care of. Undoubtedly a soul warrior, terrifying. After advancing for about an hour, I still didn't encounter any soul beasts with ice attributes. Although Lin Hai had searched very carefully, he still found nothing. Alright, sit down and rest first, and have some food. It should be around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Find a safe place to rest for the night before it gets dark, Lin Hai said as he looked at the sky. Teacher, if we can't find it tomorrow, will we have to go to the far north? Why, little girl is in a hurry. Lin Hai looked at her with a smile on his face. Mu Qianxue shook her head and said, searching for soul beasts relies on luck itself, and being impatient is useless. Teacher, I have this patience. Don't worry, we'll find it. If we can't find it tomorrow, we'll have to delve deeper. After all. Before he could finish speaking, Lin Hai laughed and said, Girl, your soul ring has arrived. Newcomers are not good at writing and many aspects are not well described. Please bear with me. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Centennial Ice Badger Beast. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Centennial Ice Badger Beast, where is the soul beast with ice attributes? Mu Qianxue looked around, but did not see the shadow of the soul beast. Ahead, in the bushes, we're about to come out. This soul beast is covered in thorns and has the ability to attack from a distance. Stay away from it and don't harm you. As soon as Lin Hai finished speaking, dozens of ice arrows shot out from the bushes ahead. Lin Hai quickly pulled Mu Qianxue aside and dodged the ice arrows. At the next moment, a snow-white shadow swept out, targeting the forest. "Oh, I'm really looking for death," Lin Hai sneered. At the next moment, a silver hammer suddenly appeared in Lin Hai's hand, and at the same time, 8 soul rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 4 black, appeared. And this hammer is his martial soul, the Heavenly Gang Hammer. Just as the soul beast was about to collide with him, he swung his hammer roughly towards the front. Bomb! A huge collision sound sounded, and the snow-white soul beast instantly flew out, hitting a big tree heavily with its body, and then remained motionless. Is this finished? Mu Qianxue twitched at the corner of her mouth. Nonsense, I'm an 8-ring soul Douluo. Pack up a century-old soul beast. How long do you want me to fight? Lin Hai said as he put away his hammer and martial soul. Let's go and take a look. When Mu Qianxue approached the lifeless soul beast, she realized that it was a very large ice hedgehog, but its current state was somewhat unbearable. Its entire body was almost embedded in the tree, and some of the ice spikes on its back were nailed to the tree, while others were directly broken and inserted into its own body in the opposite direction. The blood stained most of its body red. The ice badger beast, with a cultivation of over 400 years, has an ice thorn on its back as its strongest weapon. When it shrinks into a ball, it can effectively prevent close combat. At the same time, it also has the means of long-range attacks, which exactly meets your needs. After speaking, Lin Hai casually pulled out an ice thorn from its body and handed it to Mu Qianxue. Looking at the constantly twitching ice badger beast, he said, "Let's do it." Mu Qianxue nodded and took the ice sting from Lin Hai's hand. Just as she was about to take action, she seemed to think of something else. What soul skill would I get if I absorbed its soul ring? It wouldn't be like this big hedgehog shrinking its body into a ball, covered in ice stings all over its body. After filling the screen in her brain, Mu Qianxue looked at the ice badger beast with disdain. Well, it's hard to say. No, it can't be that kind of soul skill. Your martial soul is an ice crystal phoenix, and soul skills come from commonly used skills or attack methods of soul beasts. It's true, but they also change according to the soul master's own martial soul. Have you ever seen a phoenix shrink into a ball like a hedgehog? Lin Hai's difficult words startled Mu Qianxue, as she wanted to release this soul beast. After listening to what he said later, I gradually felt relieved. Biting her teeth, Mu Qianxue hesitated no longer and raised the ice thorn in her hand to rudely stab the exposed snow-white belly of the ice badger beast. The ice badger beast, which had been stabbed to its core, struggled twice before losing its life. At the same time, a yellow halo condensed above the corpse. Mu Qianxue sat down directly next to the corpse, summoning her martial soul to pull the soul ring into her body. She began to absorb her first soul ring in life. Lin Hai also sat down next to her to protect the law. The soul ring energy entered the body, and Mu Qianxue instantly felt a violent energy wandering through various meridians in her body, causing her internal organs to feel extremely painful as if they were pierced by countless steel needles. My body couldn't help but tremble violently. What the hell is going on? Is this absorbing soul rings or bombs? Is it so painful? Drops of sweat began to fall from the forehead, and the exposed skin turned red. Blue veins burst out on the arms, and some blood streaks appeared faintly. Why was the backlash so strong? Seeing Mu Qianxue's current state, Lin Hai felt something was wrong. Hold back, you must keep your mind and mind clear. You must not lose consciousness, otherwise it will be ruined. Lin Hai clenched his fists tightly and said anxiously. The raging energy of the soul ring instantly washed every cell in her body. At the next moment, she closed her eyes tightly and exerted all her soul power to guide this raging energy, allowing it to flow within her body according to her own wishes. This process is very painful, but she can only endure it and cannot stop. She feels that once she stops, her body will explode in the next moment, so even if it is painful, she must let this energy yield. And just as she felt like she was about to lose her support, a blue phoenix phantom appeared behind her, and the icy blue soul power began to flow through her limbs and bones, protecting her fragile internal organs and main meridians, and alleviating the pain on Mu Qianshue's body. I don't know how long it took, but she felt something inside her rupture, and the piercing sensation in her body began to disappear. The manic energy gradually dissipated and began to merge with her soul power, quickly moving through her meridians and restoring her body's state. Success. Lin Hai let out a heavy sigh of relief as his heart finally fell back into his stomach from his throat. Strange, how could a soul ring that has been around 400 years old be so difficult to absorb? Almost failed. Lin Hai felt a bit strange, so he went to the body of the ice badger beast and carefully observed it again. After the last trace of energy assimilated with the soul power inside her body, Mu Qianxue slowly opened her eyes, and at this moment, the sky had begun to darken. Finally completed. After speaking, she lay weakly on the ground. Teacher, is it so painful to absorb soul rings every time? It's really painful to want to become a powerful soul master. Just a 400-year-old soul ring is so painful. I don't know how Hui Yuhao managed to survive when he hung the wall and fused with the Ice Emperor. Teacher. Teacher. Seeing that Lin Hai had not responded to her for a long time, Mu Qianxue stood up from the ground and looked in the direction of Lin Hai. He saw the ice badger beast nailed to the tree had been pulled out and thrown to the ground. At this moment, he was staring at the ice spikes on the back of the ice badger beast in a daze. What's wrong, teacher? Is there any problem? Mu Qianxue walked up and asked. But at this moment, Lin Hai looked at her with a strange expression on his face and said, "It's almost 600 years. Did you still succeed? Miracle. 600 years. Mu Qian was momentarily confused. Why is it so painful? It's like all the bones on my body are about to break, and after half a day of trouble, it has exceeded nearly 200 years. Mu Qianxue roared angrily. Aren't you a soul Douluo level powerhouse? How could you even mistake the lifespan of a soul beast? Fortunately, it hasn't exceeded too much. If it were a millennium-old soul beast, I wouldn't have had to explode and die. Lin Hai's expression was very awkward and he said, "Didn't you look carefully at that time? After more than 500 years, the ice spikes on the back of this ice badger will gradually turn blue with age, and only the small part of the ice spike near the skin of this ice badger will turn blue. Didn't the teacher notice? Then wouldn't you carefully check and confirm before letting me absorb it?" Mu Qianxue said angrily. Lin Hai smiled somewhat ashamed and said, "All right, stop getting angry. It's the teacher's fault. The teacher apologizes to you and guarantees that there won't be another one. Besides, aren't you successful? Come on, show the teacher what my first soul skill is as a genius disciple." Mu Qianxue was able to successfully absorb these 600-year soul rings, and as a teacher, he naturally feels proud of it. Meanwhile, he was also somewhat curious about the first soul skill bestowed upon this 600-year-old soul beast. "Very impressive, teacher, do you want to give it a try?" Mu Qianxue smiled mysteriously. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Ice Feather Arrow Rain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Ice Feather Arrow Rain. Okay, teacher, just stand here and show me your first soul skill. After speaking, Lin Hai stood about 20 meters in front of Mu Qianxue, with his hands behind his back, and said calmly. "You need to be careful, teacher. After speaking, Mu Qianshue's martial soul instantly possessed her, and her ice-blue wings spread out behind her, with a fluorescent yellow halo slowly rising under her feet. In the next moment, Mu Qianshue's wings trembled, and the only yellow centenary soul ring burst into a dazzling light. More than a dozen arrows, like phoenix feathers, appeared around her, piercing into Lin Hai's chest in an instant. This is the first soul skill bestowed upon her by the century-old ice badger beast, the ice feather arrow rain. Good guy, long-range attack, the girl's luck is good. Lin Hai nodded in satisfaction, then his figure flickered and he dodged the arrows that exploded one by one. When the last ice arrow reached him, he used his soul power to cover his palm and firmly grasped the last ice arrow in front of him. Very strong, very good skill. Mu Qianxue smiled mysteriously and reminded, of course soul skills are good, because they are not just very powerful. Teacher, pay attention, it's not over yet. Oh. Do you have any other abilities with this soul skill? Lin Hai turned around and looked at the ice arrows he had dodged. Yoha, it's not bad, it's really not easy. As soon as Lin Hai finished speaking, he noticed that the dozen or so arrows he had dodged had curved through the air before turning and shooting towards him again. Even the one in his hand was distracted for a moment and he didn't grasp it to let it go. The launched arrows can still be manipulated twice, and this soul skill is indeed quite impressive. After dodging the arrow again, Lin Hai smiled and said, "That's right, but if I perform secondary control, the consumption of soul power is very high. With my current cultivation level, I can't sustain it for long. When my cultivation level improves, the number of arrows will increase, and the time to manipulate arrows will also increase. Of course, with more arrows, the consumption of soul power will also increase. So, all I need to do is control a certain number of arrows to maintain it for a long time." Mu Qianxue said somewhat smugly. Mu Qianxue put away her martial soul, and the ice-blue wings behind her turned into light dots and disappeared. The arrows that were thrown away lost their soul power and fell to the ground one after another. Lin Hai stepped forward and bent down to pick up an ice arrow. He clenched it tightly, feeling the temperature and hardness in his hand. He couldn't help but exclaim, "It's truly the ultimate ice attribute. Even without the support of soul power, it's colder and harder than ordinary ice." Opening his palm, the ice arrow slid off his hand. Without soul power protection, his palm was frozen red, while the ice arrow only melted to the point of slightly wetting his palm. "Teacher, when you were in college, you also said that my martial soul is the ultimate attribute. Is my martial soul really the ultimate attribute?" Although she already had the answer in her heart, Mu Qianxue still wanted to confirm again. "That's right, it's indeed the ultimate ice. When the cultivation level is not significantly different, the ultimate ice can cause great attribute suppression on ordinary ice attribute and fire attribute soul masters. Unless the cultivation level difference is too large, this suppression will continue to exist." Lin Hai patiently explained to Mu Qianxue. Of course, the ultimate attribute also has its drawbacks, which is that the cultivation speed is relatively slow. However, the strong combat power can also make up for this disadvantage. After all, the ultimate attribute means the existence of invincibility in the same level. "Teacher, am I invincible below level 20 now?" Mu Qianxue suddenly said with her eyes lit up. "Invincible? You're almost there." Lin Hai rolled his eyes and said, "How many times have you fought? You don't have any practical combat experience, so you're still invincible. Let's go back and practice well. Let's go, your soul ring is done. Come with me back to the academy. The sun has already set. Do you want to spend the night here?" Okay. But are we just walking back like this? Otherwise, you fly back." Lin Hai gave her a blank glance. "If you can fly back," Mu Qianxue murmured softly. "No, it seems like I can really fly." Thinking of this, Mu Qianxue once again released her martial soul, possessed by an ice crystal phoenix. After trying to flap her wings, a rising force lifted her body, her feet off the ground, and her body slowly rose into the air. "Huh, look, teacher, I'm flying," Mu Qianxue laughed excitedly. "Who doesn't dream of being able to fly freely in the sky like a bird? Alright, girl, come down now. Your soul power doesn't last long, don't show it off. Oh, come down now." Feeling the rapidly depleting soul power in her body, Mu Qianxue quickly controlled her wings to slowly lower her body. She didn't want her soul power to run out and fall from the sky. "Let's go, teacher." Mu Qianxue was particularly happy today. After the two of them returned to the college, a ray of fish belly white rose in the distant eastern sky. Not long after, a bright morning sun emerged from the clouds, and it was already dawn. "After running all night, I finally came back. I'm so tired, how good it is to have a carriage." Mu Qianxue walked weakly on the square of the college, complaining weakly. Lin Hai gave her a faint glance and said, "I've been exhausted from running with my soul power, and I was thinking of flying back. Also, your physical fitness is not good enough. Alright, you can skip class today, rest well, and temporarily put off practical training. Starting from tomorrow, I'll be supervising the heavy long-distance run around the playground every afternoon. It's over after school in the afternoon, and I can't stop in the middle. When I think your physical fitness is good, I'll give you practical training." After speaking, Lin Hai turned around and left, leaving Mu Qianxue alone in place. "Teacher, what are the benefits of tiring me to death?" Mu Qianxue looked at Lin Hai's departure direction with a pitiful smile on her face. Alas, it will be miserable in the future. After returning to the dormitory, Huanyu had already gotten up and was tidying up her bed. When she saw Mu Qianxue returning, she smiled and greeted her, asking, "Qianxue's sister is back. How do you feel? What is her first soul skill? Tell her quickly." "Miss Moon Appreciation, will you be optimistic about soul skills or anything else in the future? I feel like I might die suddenly if I don't sleep anymore." Mu Qianxue said listlessly with her head down. "Huh, no problem. I'll go eat first. Do you want to bring some back for you?" "Okay, bring some, I'm a bit hungry too." Mu Qianxue walked weakly to the bed and collapsed directly on top. "What would you like to eat?" "Whatever. Then I'll take care of it." "Well, just watch and do it. I'll eat whatever you bring back." "Okay, you should rest well first." After looking at Mu Qianxue lying in bed, Yue walked out of the dormitory. About half an hour later, Jingyue returned to the dormitory with a lunch box. "Qianxue, breakfast is on the table for you. I'm going to class now, don't forget to eat it." "I see, thank you, Sister Shangyue. You can go to class, don't worry about me," Mu Qianxue replied in a daze. "Then I'll leave," said the admiring Moon as she shook her head after finishing speaking. She picked up a few books she had placed on the table and left the dormitory to go to the classroom for class. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Boyfriend Who Admires the Moon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 10. Monsters Cultivation Methods. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Monsters Cultivation Methods. The next afternoon, Lin Hai and Mu Qianxue arrived at the playground behind the teaching building. "Alright, let's start our physical training now. First, run it 100 laps around the playground and finish it in 2 hours, Lin Hai said with a flat expression, carrying his hands on his back. What? Mu Qianxue's expression froze after listening. 100 laps. That's right, it's just 100 laps and it should be completed within 2 hours. After seeing Mu Qianxue's reaction, Lin Hai smiled and said, if you can't finish running within 2 hours, add an extra 100 laps until you finish. Mu Qianxue unconsciously swallowed her saliva and asked tentatively, Teacher, why don't I go to the Soul Guide practice class with my classmates today? Although she experienced the freshness of becoming a soul master after obtaining the soul ring, she still has some salty fish attributes from her past life, and this high-intensity training makes her a bit unable to accept it. Lin Hai raised his eyebrows, his expression slightly changed, and he asked lightly, "What are you saying?" "No, it's nothing," Mu Qianxue smiled bitterly, "Teacher, I went for a run." After speaking, Mu Qianxue turned around without hesitation and ran around the playground. The track on the playground is about 300 meters long. For ordinary people, running 100 laps around the playground in 2 hours is not an easy task, but for Mu Qianxue, who is already a soul master, it is not very difficult and can be completed within 2 hours. As time passed by minute by second, as the number of laps increased, Mu Qianxue's breathing gradually became heavy. When she finished the last lap at the fastest speed, she jogged to the side of the forest and gasped heavily with her hands on her knees, saying, "Old teacher, I've finished running." Lin Hai looked at Mu Qianxue, who was panting heavily in front of him, and nodded in satisfaction, saying, "Very good, about half an hour earlier. It seems that your physical fitness is still good. Alright, rest for half an hour, then tie this to your leg and continue running." Let's run 50 laps this time, Lin Hai said as he took out a pair of weight-bearing belts and handed them to her at some point. "What's the point of adding or not adding such a load-bearing belt?" "Teacher." "Oh. Really? Take it over and try it out." Lin Hai looked at her with a playful smile. After seeing Lin Hai's gaze, Mu Qianxue began to feel that this pair of small load-bearing belts seemed not so simple. She took a deep breath and took the weight-bearing belt from Lin Hai's hand. Suddenly, a heavy feeling came from her hand, making her almost miss it and fall to the ground. This load-bearing belt is made of various special alloys. Despite its small size, it weighs over 40 pounds. Lin Hai chuckled and said, "Teacher, there's no need to be so cruel." Mu Qianxue said helplessly as she wanted to cry. "Why not? Do you know Shrek College?" "Teacher, who on Douluo continent wouldn't know about Shrek Academy, the first academy on the continent?" Mu Qianxue rolled her eyes and said. "So I'll tell you now, the teacher came out of Shrek College. Although he only graduated from another college, the physical training courses at Shrek College were all trained in this way. When the teacher practiced at Shrek College back then, such training was commonplace for the teacher and even more ruthless." "Where are you now?" Lin Hai couldn't help but look up proudly when he mentioned that he was a graduate of Shrek College. It seems that I won't be able to go to Shrek Academy even if I die in the future," Mu Qianxue muttered softly. "Alright, didn't you mention it the day before yesterday when you went to the Starry Forest? You will strive to become a powerful soul master. Why, now this little bit of training scares you?" "Actually, making a salted fish is also quite good," Mu Qianxue smiled somewhat guilty. "Hey, you worthless stinky girl." Lin Hai was so angry at Mu Qianxue's words that he blew his beard and glared. He had put all his wealth on Mu Qianxue. If this girl really went down like this, where would he cry? "No way, since I have already taken you as a closed-door disciple, I will be responsible for your cultivation to the end. Whether you practice or not, you must practice. Alright, rest is over, tie the weight-bearing belt to your leg, and run. 50 laps seems to be less, or as usual, 100 laps. What, run quickly. If you can't finish running, don't have dinner." "Okay." Mu Qianxue knew she couldn't avoid it, so she helped her weight-bearing belt onto her legs and ran around the playground with her heavy legs. This time, she had just run about 20 laps and her face was already covered in sweat. Gradually, her speed slowed down. After more than an hour, Mu Qianxue was almost unable to hold on. Running with a weight-bearing belt tied to her calves weighing over 40 pounds was too heavy on her body, and by the time she reached the 50th lap, she had almost exhausted her soul power. Relying solely on her own body to carry the weight of the weight-bearing belt is too difficult for her at this age. With a thud, Mu Qianxue could no longer hold on and fell to the ground. At this moment, her eyes were turning black, her mouth was dry and her tongue was dry. Her whole body was soaked in sweat and sticky, making her very uncomfortable. The muscles in her thighs were also very sore, making it impossible for her to stand up for a while. "Alright, that's it for today." Lin Hai gestured behind him. Subsequently, a woman who appeared to be in her 30s and had a bulky figure walked over. "Are you ready for the medicinal bath? Take her with you." Lin Hai turned around and left. "Ah, the child is still so young, and practicing like this doesn't mean it will exhaust the child's body." "The dean is really tired," the woman muttered as she walked up to Mu Qianxue and carefully helped her remove the weight-bearing belt from her leg. She put Mu Qianxue back into her storage soul guide and carried her towards the dormitory. Returning to the dormitory, a large wooden bucket filled with emerald green liquid was placed in the bathroom at some point, steaming hot with the fragrance of medicine. "Child, take off your clothes and soak in bubbles. This is a medicinal herb prepared by the dean for you, which has the effect of relaxing muscles and activating collaterals, strengthening the foundation and nourishing the body. In the future, you will undergo such training every day. If you have any hidden diseases, it will not be good," the woman said after placing Mu Qianxue on the bed. "Well, thank you, teacher." Mu Qianxue also regained some strength and looked up to thank the woman. "You don't need to call me a teacher, I work as a laborer in the college. I can't be called a teacher, just call me Aunt Wang." Aunt Wang smiled and said, "By the way, the dean also asked me to tell you that you must first take a xianshui pill and then soak it in a bucket." "Well, I see. Thank you, Aunt Wang. Alright, I need to go back now. Little girl, let's rest early after practicing," Aunt Wang said and left the dormitory. Mu Qianxue took out one of the only 2 xianshui pills and took off her clothes. After trying the warm water, she immersed herself in it. Suddenly, a warm feeling spread from all directions into her body, and the warm and comfortable feeling made her take a long breath. Perhaps she was too tired, she actually fell asleep directly in the bucket. When she woke up, she found that the moon was smiling at her from the side. End of this chapter.